Have you ever just stopped and looked at a really, really tall tree and thought, how does it do that? How does it get water from way down in the dirt all the way up to the very top leaf? It's this incredible silent feat of engineering that's happening all around us in every single plant. So today we're going to follow the amazing journey of a water molecule from the soil all the way up to the sky. I mean, think about it. For us to get water to the top of a skyscraper, we need these massive, complex pumps, right? They need power, they have moving parts. But a plant? It has no engine, no electricity, nothing. And yet it lifts water hundreds of feet straight up, fighting gravity the whole way. So how? How is that even possible? Well, that's the big mystery we're going to unravel. Okay, so before we can even start to understand the journey, we have to talk about the traveler itself. This whole thing, this entire incredible process is only possible because of the unique, almost magical properties of water. Water is just perfectly designed for life. It's the best solvent out there, so it dissolves all those good minerals in the soil, and the plant can just slurp them right up. It's the perfect place for all the little chemical reactions a plant needs to stay alive, and of course, it's a main ingredient for photosynthesis. It even protects the plant from getting too hot or too cold. And the secret to all these amazing superpowers? These tiny little things called hydrogen bonds. They're the key to everything. All right, so our journey starts down in the soil. We've got our water molecule just hanging out, and its first big challenge is getting past the front door, the gatekeeper of the plant world, the root system. And check this out. This is where all the action begins. What you're seeing is a close-up of a plant root. See all those super fine, long extensions? Those are the root hairs, and their whole job is to just massively increase the surface area, making them the perfect entry points for water. This is basically the front line of the whole operation. Now, getting inside isn't just one simple step. It's actually a sequence of 3 different physical processes that have to happen in order. First, you have imbibition, then diffusion, and finally the most critical step of all, osmosis. Let's break each one down. So first up is imbibition. Really, this is just a fancy word for soaking up. The cell wall of that little root hair is made of stuff that loves water, like cellulose. So it just absorbs the water molecules, and it actually swells up. It's literally the exact same thing that happens when a wooden door gets all swollen and stuck in its frame when it's rainy and humid outside. Okay, so once that cell wall is nice and soaked, diffusion kicks in. This is super simple. There's just way more water in the soil than there is inside the root cells, right? So the water molecules just naturally start to spread out, moving from that crowded, high concentration area to the less crowded area inside the root. It's just physics. And now for the main event, osmosis. The water made it past the cell wall, but now it hits the plasma membrane. And this membrane is special. It's semi-permeable. It's like a bouncer at a club. It lets the water molecules in, but it blocks the bigger stuff. This is where the real magic happens. So yeah, this quote pretty much nails it. The stuff inside the cell, the cytoplasm, it's full of minerals and sugars and all sorts of things, which makes it a really concentrated solution. The water in the soil, it's way more diluted, a much weaker solution. And nature is all about balance. So water rushes across that membrane from the weak solution outside to the stronger, more concentrated solution inside. Think about it. It's exactly like when you put dried up raisins in a bowl of water and they plump right up. Same idea. Okay, we're in. The water is officially inside the plant, but it's still just hanging out in the outer layers of the root. Now it needs to get to the very center, to the plant's main water pipeline, called the xylem. And believe it or not, it has 2 different paths it can take to get there. So the water gets a choice. Path number 1 is the apoplast pathway. Think of this as the interstate highway. It's fast, moving through the network of cell walls, which are non-living. Path number 2 is the symplast pathway. This is more like taking the scenic local roads. The water actually moves through the living part of the cells from one to the next. It's slower, for sure, but it gives the plant a chance to control what kind of minerals get to come along for the ride. It's like a security checkpoint. So no matter which path it took, our water molecule has finally reached the xylem in the center. But now comes the biggest challenge by far, the climb, the long vertical journey against gravity. And this is done with an amazing combination of 2 forces, a little push from below and a massive pull from above. The whole system really runs on this concept called water potential. The easiest way to think about it is like measuring how thirsty a plant cell is. Water will always move from an area where it's less thirsty or has high water potential to an area where it's more thirsty or has low water potential. So the plant just creates this continuous chain of thirst, getting stronger and stronger all the way from the roots up to the leaves. And that thirst is created by this constant balancing act happening inside every single cell. You've got osmotic pressure, which is trying to pull water in, and at the same time you have turgor pressure, which is the water already inside pushing out. The difference between that pull and that push is what decides where the water goes next. It's always going to move to the next cell in line that's a little bit thirstier. All that water constantly flowing into the root xylem starts to build up a real, actual physical pressure. We call it root pressure. And this is the push that gives that whole column of water its first little shove upwards from the bottom. This experiment here actually shows you that pressure in action. It's a real, measurable force. So we have that initial push from the roots. But let's be honest, that's nowhere near strong enough to get water to the top of a giant tree. The real power, the real engine, is the pull from way up at the top. So let's follow our water molecule on its final trip up the xylem superhighway. The main driving force for this incredible climb is something called transpiration. Basically, as water evaporates from tiny little pores in the leaves, it creates this incredible tension, a powerful continuous pull that literally yanks the entire column of water all the way up from the roots, molecule by molecule. Once it's in the leaf, the water does its job in photosynthesis, and then it's released back into the air, completing this amazing cycle. And that's it. The journey is complete. It's this beautiful, silent engine powered by basic physics, and it's running inside every single plant on this planet. It moves millions of gallons of water skyward every day without a single pump or a single moving part. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other absolutely incredible natural marvels are we just walking past and overlooking every single day?